Hello everyone, it is Wednesday the 30th. I feel great. Research is going good. New training methodologies is up to par. Really enjoy applying the science to clients here and being able to get back into the science mode with myself and soon with my clients in Nebraska who I know will follow certain patterns so that I can get a true, realistic look at the results of my work or my craft, which leads me to my discussion, my first discussion. Exercise, nutrition, science as a whole is really not an exact. We can look at math as a science and come up with, certain areas in math that most cases hold true measurements and stuff like that. But once you start getting into the deeper aspects of math, astrophysics, and all these other different things, then there's a whole bunch of hypotheses and theories that may or may hold true. They haven't been 100% proven. They haven't been 100%, not proven. So the possibilities are endless and they can be improved upon. That is the same way in my profession. I don't knock other people's route to getting in shape or nutrition or whatever it is that they do, as long as they are truly passionate scientists and is doing it because that is the ability that they have at this particular point. Everyone can be a master at certain things, and even the masters had to go through a process to get to these particular points. I tell people that I am a master certified personal trainer, nutritionist, and all this in reverse. What I mean by in reverse is that since I was a kid, I've been active. I competed at a high level. I've been coached. I put my body through the most extensive stresses that human beings can put their body through for a period of years. One of the hardest workers on the planet when it comes to pushing myself to my abilities, and as hard as I can push myself and my limitations, even to the point where I ripped body parts, torn, had setbacks, broke, played with broke stuff. So I can go on and on, and I can gather information from my past, how I ate, what I did, how I trained, even when it was in collegiate or high school football, or how I trained as a professional, how I trained with other professionals and all this other stuff. And so I have a vast amount of experience and knowledge, and then playing and being around people and pushing and coaching and leading, being captains of teams and being leaders of men and other things and stuff like that have brought me to this juncture as a scientist and learning the science, and as the science improves, that I can take reverse knowledge that I've already established and weigh it against current understanding and knowledge to come up with a pretty enlightened and in-depth conclusion about certain hypotheses or training regimens or eating regimens and all the other things from just personal experience and seeing it for thousands of times, or that people did the same thing that I did, see the response that happened to them. see how they live, see how they lived outside of there when we weren't in a training facility, see what they did with their bodies and stuff and particular things. So it's just a collection of knowledge that makes me knowledgeable, and then the wisdom to be able to learn from previous situations and make it applicable at the current time. So someone asked me a question. I said that I'll do a question because this is about nutrition and other things, about what is the key to pretty much all of this. And I told them, and I really contemplated, I actually thought about it all last night, and I came up with really one true answer that hopefully I can elaborate in depth so that you may have some kind of understanding where my head is going with this. The number one key in this exercise being a whole big situation that we got going on here in the world on every level. Someone asked me what is the key, and I would say stress. Period. Stress is the key. What I mean by that is the same thing that makes diamonds is the same thing that destroyed or bust pipes or collapsed civilizations and societies and all the other particular things. What I do and what I have done over the years of going so hard is induce a lot of stress on myself in a lot of different ways. Some that I wish I never would have went through. But it has forged, under the right conditions and dealing with that stress, and dealing with it in the right ways, it has forged me into an enlightened individual who's able to handle great amount of physical, mental, spiritual, environmental stress. So my adaptations to my body, which every organism on the planet has to do under stressful conditions, you have to adapt, has afforded me to be able to manipulate, change my body, and change my abilities of the things that I can do. I use stress. So when I'm in stressful situations, I do things that are more stressful, like working out and other things and stuff like that, to increase my stress threshold. When other people are in stressful situations, they do things totally the opposite way. They want to get into a relaxed environment where they don't have to deal with the stress, and so they will do things to try to alleviate whatever stress that they're going through. Or if they're in a workout environment, they do not want to push the window so that they create that stressful situation for their body. So that's what, in me saying that, that's what separates everybody from everybody else, is their ability to deal with stress on all different levels, and how the body interprets it, and how they respond to the way that the body is interpreting it. You know, some people just don't even have the ability to even interpret the stress, so they walk around here oblivious to stressful situations or to what's really going on, because they actually turn their head off, or turn their mind off, or turn their eyes off, and especially turn their third eye off, because they want to live in delusion. They want to live in a delusional situation so they don't have to face the reality of the stressors that are going on around them. And what that actually does, that actually gets them out of tune with nature and their environment. Imagine if a damn rabbit was walking around here and just turned off his mind because he wasn't going to deal with the stress in the jungle and shit. He would be eaten. He would be dead. A gazelle dead. Animals understand that. Birds fly away when cars come or when things come at them. They understand. They don't just walk around here delusional like, oh, I'm not going to even worry about this car. This car I got to stop from. They don't walk around here with assumed security from delusion. And then you put on the things that happen in our environment with the chemtrails and the poisoning of the food and the taking out of foods, nutrition and macro and micronutrition out of foods, and all these other things, with a delusional reality about these things and a delusional reality about what's going on and with self, then you create a breathing ground for dysfunction and unrealistic goals and unrealistic realities, to be frank or up front with you. But it really boils down to, and it really comes down to, how do you deal with stress? Stress releases cortisol, which is a reaction, it's a hormone that bodybuilders don't want, but you got to go through that process in order to be anabolic, to build, and so you got to control your cortisol levels, but still you got to, see, most people know how to do these things in the athletic world, bodybuilding world, athlete world. That's why they are set apart from most people when it comes to the formation of their bodies and their ability to deal with big situations in big time environments. And don't get me wrong, most athletics is just a game, but it's the closest thing that we have to modern day gladiator sports or wars or particular situations like that. And that's why veterans and people come back from wars after seeing particular things that they weren't actually ready to be seeing, with post-traumatic stress syndrome, and then they can't really function because now they have a imbalance of reality of what people think goes on and what everyone else think is real, and then they have their version of what they seen with their own eyes, so they know what's real, and some people run from that. So my answer to the person that asked me that question, which was a great question, is understand your stress levels. Understand what's dealing with your stress. Understand that you have to have a certain amount of stress that you apply to yourself. If you don't apply stress to yourself, and I don't mean getting on Facebook and beefing with people, that's another form of stress, but people do that. And that satisfies them. They understand how to deal with that stress. It helps them not to deal with their own critical issues that they have with themselves, by criticizing and judging others. And that way they can deflect what they're actually feeling and not really take a real strong look in the mirror and correct what it is that they need to be doing. But if you learn to apply, and I use exercise because I can control the environment. I can raise my heart rate. I can put stress on my mind. I can put stress on my body. I can put stress on my joints, ligaments. It is probably the most perfect place for me. It's my sanctuary. It is probably the most perfect place that I can deal with every level of stress that this environment and that this world can throw at me. And when I come out of here forging myself under stress, I am able to deal with outside forces, stress, and even bacterial stress or stresses in the nutrition and everything else that they do. I try to match that up so I can deal with the stress and stuff. But if you're not matching those things up and you got mental, spiritual, and all these other stress, and you're emotionally eating and you're doing all these things and you're not exercising because you're too stressed and you're depressed and all that other stuff, you are just like a delusional gazelle walking in the forest. And these laws, by chance of men, happen to allow you to walk through this forest and not get touched in a physical way, but you are being touched in a lot of other different ways, and you don't even know it. And you're touching your kids in those same different ways. But even gazelles and animals and every other thing that exists on this planet understands the importance of stress as saving your life and being able to function, but they have a reality of where the stress is coming from and how to deal with the stress, and they have an understanding of self to deal with the stress. So that's what I'll give today. I don't know how much sense it made, but that's the best explanation that I have at this particular point about what is it that we truly do, or what is it that I truly do and help people do, is to deal with stress, to impose stress on their bodies with making changes in their environment so that they're more aware, so that they can forge and become the diamond that they was always meant to be. My name is Lamont Gilchrist. Thanks.